Have you ever spent countless hours in an MMO, grinding the materials or gold to acquire that dream transmog for your character instead of progressing in raids or leveling? Or maybe you got carried away rolling for that new character in your favorite gacha game and burnt through all your savings. This might be your experience because you tend to value different aspects of a game over another. There's tons of examples like these in gaming, but also in real life. So let's talk about values-based spending. Values-based spending is actually one of many different approaches to budgeting, which, I know, budgeting can seem super restrictive and kind of bleh, but there's a lot of utility in considering this approach. The true definition of values-based spending is spending on things that will bring you joy, satisfaction, and a sense of accomplishment or purpose. The biggest factor when it comes to this approach is firstly identifying your values and what it is that makes you feel fulfilled and happy. Personal finance is deeply psychological and will always look different from person to person. That's why it's called personal finance. So when it comes to identifying your values, I'd suggest really taking the time to narrow it down. There are tons of resources online like values assessments and lists that you can refer to that may be helpful in this crucial first step. But just for the sake of information, let's list some here and tie them in with how you typically see spending associated with them. If community is one of your values, then you might find yourself enjoying your time most when you're surrounded by and spending time with your friends and those closest to you. The relationships you keep and the moments you share with those you care about is what fuels you, so finding ways to nurture your community is probably a major priority for you. You may be spending on things like conventions or social gatherings, Discord Nitro, or multiplayer games like World of Warcraft, Overcooked, or Fortnite. If beauty is one of your values, then you might feel happiest when you're surrounded by things you find beautiful or feeling beautiful yourself. This one might have kind of a negative connotation to it being associated with vanity, but I'd like to challenge that and instead have you think of it as positivity, such as being kind, compassionate, and empathetic. Not that there's anything wrong with the other interpretation. If you find value in making yourself feel good about your appearance, then hone in on that and keep being beautiful. You're probably spending your money on clothes and beauty treatments, art programs, house decorations, or in-game cosmetics like skins. You might also be that person that spends all of their time decorating their sim and house in The Sims and not actually playing the game. If loyalty is one of your values, then you might resonate with defining yourself as someone who's faithful to the people you care about, to a cause, value, team, or brand. Other ways to put it are putting value into commitments, consistency, and honesty, and you can definitely apply this value towards how you spend your money. Your spending habits might show you spending money on playing your comfort game, Twitch subs to your favorite streamer, or even buying all of your gaming equipment from your favorite brand. If fun is one of your values, then you probably find yourself happiest when you're laughing and feeling free and just, having fun. You might notice that you'd prefer to put yourself in situations where things are enjoyable and amusing, and where memories can be made. Obviously, this very definition of fun can be super different from person to person, since everyone might define a good time with different activities and opportunities. But spending related to fun may be more so on going out to parties, purchasing games you know you'll enjoy, paying for travel, or other memorable experiences. If knowledge is one of your values, then you probably find yourself always striving to learn new things, like the wise old wizard that you are pondering your orb. Learning new things and new skills is most likely when you feel happiest and most fulfilled, and if that's where you find yourself spending your money, then that can definitely be considered a good use of your hard-earned cash. You might spend your money on things like books, game development, or art software that'll let you learn new skills, or strategy games like Age of Empires, Civ, or StarCraft. Now that you have a better idea of what your values might be, we can start to really dive into the values-based spending strategy. For this example, we're going to follow the 50-30-20 strategy. 50-30-20 helps to break your spending budget into 3 clear categories: needs, wants, and savings. Your spending should be going to 50% needs, 30% wants, and 20% savings. Simple, right? This is just one of many strategies that exist, but it's one that I personally use and feel works best with values-based spending. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like me to detail any other strategies aside from 50-30-20. The very first step of any budget is tracking your spending. I suggest you do this as often as you can find the time to, but monthly works for the overall process. Make this process fun. It doesn't need to suck and feel like a chore. So put on your favorite sea shanty, pour yourself some fresh ale, and start money mapping. Arr! There are lots of free apps and websites available online that you can use to track your expenses. Or you can even just use a simple budget Excel template. Either way, just make sure you get started. Starting is the hardest thing, but once you get it going, it'll be completely worth it, and easier than you think. We're going to use this example that I put together here. Let's say our total income for the month is $3,750. With this in mind, our budget goal for our needs is going to be $1,875. Our budget goal for wants is going to be $1,125. And our budget goal for savings is going to be $750. Once everything is out there, let's start to categorize these things into 3 simple buckets of needs, wants, and savings. Our needs will cover everything that you quite literally need to live, like rent, utilities, car payment, insurance, and groceries. Then we can focus on our savings bucket. This doesn't need to be solely for savings. It can also be for any retirement accounts, goals you're saving up for, and any debt payments you're trying to clear up. Whatever is left over from that point is going to go into your wants bucket, which is where all the fun stuff is, and where we'll really hone in on how to make sure that your spending aligns with your values. Now that we can focus on everything that was spent in our wants category, we can take a closer look and see if our spending is really aligning with the values that we've identified for ourselves. We'll continue on with the example values we went over before. Looking at all the spending we put into the wants category, let's see if we can categorize them even further. Anything that has to do with eating out, we can call dining. We can categorize all things related to gaming as games. For anything that involves going out and doing stuff, we'll just call social. And anything that has to do with clothes or hair or extra self-care, we'll call beauty. This is just an example, and your expenses will look different. So categorize them in whichever way makes the most sense to your spending habits. Now that we have these broken down into further categories, let's take a look at which values align with each line item. Some spending can be placed into multiple value categories, and that's okay. You can see that's the case for some of our gaming and dining expenses, also being social expenses. For the sake of time here, we can say that community is my top value. So we'll focus on anything we categorize as social. While doing this, I realized that DoorDash during work didn't actually align with any of my values and was done solely out of convenience, so that's probably a purchase I'll reconsider in the future. Convenience can also be considered a value, so nothing wrong with having that expense on there. It just doesn't align with our current example values. The main reason that values-based spending is effective is because it can help you to spend more intentionally on things that bring you joy, rather than on things that don't really bring much value or happiness to your life. We know that community is my top value, so it looks like for the most part, my purchasing is pretty in line with that value. As long as all these purchases fall within our 30% budget, then none of these were inherently bad choices, even though they may not fit in with our top value. Also keep in mind that you're not limited to just a single value. In this example though, everything else that falls outside of my community value, I can think twice about when making these sorts of purchases in the future. By doing that, I'm clearing up funds that I can then spend on more purchases that are closely aligned with my community. Ta-da! It all comes full circle now, doesn't it? Thanks for sticking around for that little lesson. I hope you found it useful and can start implementing it into your routine to increase your game sense. In case you're still feeling a little overwhelmed and want to start slow, here are some practical tips to help you get started and maintain this strategy. Avoid impulse purchases. Take a moment to think before making a purchase. Consider whether it really aligns with your values and if it's something you genuinely need or will benefit from. Be present and mindful. Be mindful of your current state and of overconsumption. It's easy to spend a ton of money needlessly when we're feeling down and had a rough day, thinking it'll help make us feel better. Focus on quality over quantity and avoid buying things just for the sake of it. Practice delayed gratification. Before making a purchase, especially for larger or non-essential items, Give yourself some time to consider whether it really aligns with your values. Delaying the purchase can help you avoid impulse buys and ensure your spending reflects your priorities. Regularly review and adjust if needed. Values can evolve over time, so periodically review your spending habits and adjust your budget accordingly to ensure it continues to reflect what matters most to you. By consciously integrating these tips into your financial habits, you can effectively practice values-based spending and find greater satisfaction in how you use your money. Let me know in the comments what your values are, and if this method has led you to feeling any better about how you spend your money. Thanks for watching! Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with our latest videos. Until next time, keep improving your game sense. See ya!